I think the what if question is beautiful, what if? What if I could just journey along that road down, 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 down to the end of the earth, right to the bottom? What if I could see it and I could actually journey there? But I think the imagination is the engine for us to reach these places. When we give ourselves permission to see, feel, sense things that makes no sense into our cognitive mind, then that permission is the threshold to anything. It's the gateway. And imagination is the engine that keeps the thing running. We already know it. Our body is made for this connection. Our system, our biological mechanism that we have decided to come back to is made to do this connection. We already sense it. I've discovered the other day that our heart is built as a vortex. It is actually structured as a vortex. Everything is that flow of energy that goes. There is vortex all over the planet. There are places, all the sacred places are on vortex and portals. This is the energy that our system is tuning in. It's the same with a tree. It's the same with the flower. We just are so distracted into a very fast vibration that we cannot get it. But it's like, we don't see many vibration of light.
Welcome to the Enchanted Earth Podcast, where you will hear stories of nature with the power to transform our lives. So listen in as my guest today shares one of their own.
Did you know that this podcast was inspired by my book, The Enchanted Earth? I will have links below in the show notes so that you can get a copy of your own. Welcome today, Agathe.
Hey, good morning from Australia.
Yes, and we're in for a treat today. Let me tell you a little bit about Agathe Lazaro. Agathe is a breathwork and Reiki practitioner and founder of Sanctum, transforming homes and offices and wellness spaces into environments that feel instinctively like coming home. She also has retreat centers in India and France where all of these layers meet. So I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Wonderful. We met a few years ago over a love for nature and design, and I thought you were just a perfect person to have on this podcast to share a little bit about your experiences in nature. But first, I would like to ask you, as I do with most of my guests, can you share a little bit about the land that raised you?
She definitely raised me. I was an outdoor kid, pony rider, and spending my days outside barefoot, riding without saddle, without just wild. Spend most of my days and coming back late when it was pitch dark with the horses, and always feeling home. It's in the heart of Provence, like every place in Provence is the heart of Provence for people. But Saint-Rémy is definitely very, very special. I still have the same house where I grew up. And it used to be a very generous land because it was a land that used to produce flour originally for the color of the army coats of the French army. So when I grew up, there was still a lot of flowers, and my father was doing seeds and bulbs. So we had only fields of colors around us, around the house. And yeah, it was pretty paradisiac. And the land was fierce and holding and protective and inspiring. Very special land.
Wow. It sounds like a magical childhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people on this podcast, and I would say you're in the rare percentage of people that have like an idyllic childhood environment. So really beautiful. And it's just magical that you are still in that space.
Well, I have left when I was 24, and I lived 24 years in India, and I am now at my 8th year in Australia, and I'm back there in 2 years. So it would have been a long absence of coming back regularly, but not being there. And I'm going back there now in 2 years' time. So it's really going to be special. French has changed around, but the land is there, and I'm really going for the land. It's claimed me back. So yes, I'm back there, and it's incredible to be in a space where how every tree grew and what size they were 30 years ago, and every bushes, what shape it was. And there is an intimacy and familiarity that is very, very precious, that allows bridging energetically with the place in ways that it's really a gift. Yes, I feel very privileged to be able to walk back this land as I walked it when I was a kid, barefoot on the pebbles.
Yeah, that is something that is also pretty rare, like you're saying, having the trees and the bushes, having seen them grow and change and mature and still have them to be present. That's really a gift.
Yeah, because I keep every gardener, and both my parents were gardeners, so the garden is magnificent, and there is an architecture to the garden that looks natural, but it has been thought. But now, because it's so grown, because the poplar is like 30-meter high, and I mean it's at the end of its life, so I would have seen the entire growth of it, and there were tree. I know where we had willow that had been thundered, and I know there's still a kind of tiny little not whole, but the lawn is a bit different at that place. And I know that was where the willow was, and it's the trace, it's the memory of him. It's still being here. So there's all these things in the garden that take so much time. Every gardener will tell you a garden happens with time. It always evolves. And so that's, yeah, it changes. It brings us back to the actual duration of what vegetation and trees are, which is so different from us. We go too fast. And if you connect to a tree, you suddenly realize that the time is very slow.
Mm, yeah. Do you have an earliest childhood memory that comes to mind that you could
Mm.
share?
There is this there's trees, of course. I mean, this willow I was in love with, and I used to be in his branch all the time. So when it been removed by fire from the sky, it was something really, drastic. And one of the first things that I realized that thing can go in a clip. So that was something so majestic that was holding me for so many years was gone. Um, in a choice from coming from the heavens. There's a plane tree, which I think is the sycamore family. I'm not too sure what, but I think it's that, who is the grandfather and the grandmother of the land. They're actually feminine and masculine at the same time. And who's about, so the platane, we call them platane in France, in front of a French farmhouse, are designed to grow horizontally. So their branches are weighted so that the canopy can be as wide as possible to protect from the sun. And so this tree has a trunk that's, I think you need to be like 3 to go around because it's so wide. It's about 350 years old. And the branches goes horizontal. So the canopy is about 40-meter wide. And in summer, and so we all climbed into him when we were kids. We sat on every branches. We were four girls. We pushed each other. It was always there. So that's really, it's the pulse, the guardian, the threshold, the holder. It's a very, very important tree in the house. I'm actually drawing him now, and he's actually drawing himself through my hands, and it's very special.
Oh, wow. Did you ever have the experience of getting communication from the tree?
Mhm. Yes, I talk to him all the time. I even have a prayer stick of him with me here that I did with grandmother's Saint-Rémy Moonwalker, who was there last October, and she actually took me out. So I had my own communication, and he tells me things. I sit in his roots. I meditate next to him. I put my back, and I feel I listen to all of the message he has to give me. But last time there was something quite incredible. With Grandmother Moonwalker, she actually took me into the trunk, into the story of the trunk with my stick that I had made with him. And it was really becoming the wood itself. And there was even an anchoring she'd done for me to remind myself to breathe on my knee by tapping on my knee. And she said, I'll tap on your knee and you'll have to breathe again because you switched back into the time and the rhythm of the tree. And so I went back into his entire life of when he was growing, how the chains were put, how this had actually stretched him out like this horizontal, which was completely unnatural, and the pain, and at the same time, the sovereignty is creating shade for the people who had planted him. So there was this double, and so I was within the tree and its life. It was completely incredible. So yeah, I talk a lot with him. I think it's the I can't say the person because, but it's the entity and the energy I am the most in love with.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
who knows me since I'm a babe, a tiny toddler, trying to get on top of it when my bigger sister were needing me from the top. I said, "No, you can't," and I was just on the rules.
Wow. Yeah.
Very precious messages I get from him. Very loving and very fierce and uncompromising love. Always there, always present.
So can I ask you a little bit more about that experience with Grandmother Moonwalker? Right?
Yes.
Um, so yeah, she is a shaman, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. She doesn't really like so much the word shaman because I don't think that's part of their lineage. She's a Cochise, so the Moonwalker Cochise lineage, and she's one of the 13 elder of Americas.
Okay. So in this experience, were you sitting with the tree and the stick?
I was sitting in the living room. It was night and autumn. We were sitting by the fire, and I had my prayer stick with me, and her, and she takes you under through realms in 3 sentences and 3 breaths. She's very, very powerful. Yeah. So I basically sat, and I actually don't remember what were the words that took me in. I'm already always so connected to the tree anyway. When I'm in France, I'm in every leaves of the garden. I'm in every pebbles. I'm existing in every places. I'm not just me. I know who's coming by which place, what door, the house dogs. It's so when I was there with grandmother, I was already very open to joining the tree, and she had been discussing the tree a lot because she talks to the tree almost more than to me, and so they had the agreement, and the tree had really claimed me, and actually at the end didn't want to release me. And usually she says I don't take people there more than 15 minutes, and we went for 25 because the tree didn't want to let it go and wanted more time. It's a long joining due. I have to be there. The tree, it is a portal. It is a very ancient portal, and under the tree there's a water, and both of them are intertwined. And they are really claiming my presence back as a guardian for the portal.
Well, you can't ignore that request, huh? It's
No.
part of your calling to be the guardian of that location, the human guardian, living guardian of that location. Wow. So, I mean, that is rather magical, and enchanted and mystical. Let me just ask you, was there some other story that you would like to share about your mystical connections, or did I just go right to the heart?
No, there's actually the first time I realized I was energetically intertwined with the place wherever I am in the world. Is one morning I came back. The first morning, one of my trips, actually it wasn't the trip with grandmother, it was before that. I came back to Australia, and the first morning I woke up, I had this very strange, like if I'm looking at the dark material at this moment, and I read the books in and out, and it's the associations like when you're being cut from your demon, and which is basically the cut off connection to the outer fields. The first seconds when you realize something has been taken away from you, has been severed, like for example, if you had a dog for many years and then, or an animal, a furry friend that had died, and the first morning you wake up, you are waking up, reaching out energetically to the animal, and they realize it's not here anymore. And that's exactly what happened with the tree and the house. I woke up and I felt, and then I realized, oh my God, what's missing? And I was the guardian of, maybe the godmother of a dog that was here sometime at home, and I said, River is not there. Why am I missing this gap, this disconnection, severe? And it was the land. And then I realized how much I was intertwined and how much I needed to keep the connection, even though I was literally on the other side of the world. So
Wow.
that's what I do. I actually go through the center of the world to connect back to the land, and I come back from the soil, back
Oh,
to the
I
root,
love
to the
that.
trunk. Because I'm exactly on the opposite.
Yeah. Have you you were able to kind of
Yeah,
pinpoint
yeah,
where the
yeah.
so you're like 180 degrees roughly away.
Yeah. So I go through,
You go through a
and the other
portal
day,
through the
sorry,
center of the earth.
yeah, yeah,
Genius.
yeah. And the other day there was another event which reminds me how everything brings me back to the land. There is a spot I go and meditate all the time, and I keep offering. I wrap stones and with leather, and I always do things with my hands. So I go and I bring them to a poplar that I'm in love with, and I have a poplar in my garden, so I have a really strong relation with poplars. And I realized, and then I walked there, and there was 3 people working on the land, and they tell me that this actually place I'm going to see it used to be an hospice for young women who had been probably got pregnant out of marriage, and were or young widows, or basically young women who didn't want to be in the circus anymore. I mean, out of the society, and you lock them there. And the poplars have grown on top of these rooms. And I'm going there, and it's the place I go all the time. And I realized that again, there is 3 poplar, and the story with the land in Saint-Rémy is about 3 priestesses that were holding the water temple of the place, because that was the portal. And again, there is 3 poplars and number of 3, the woman, the hospice, the healing, everything was there again. And again, it brings me back to Saint-Rémy. So there's everywhere I go, the universal energy is connecting it back to the land, wherever I am.
Wow.
Can't
Yeah.
ignore.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and for someone who has traveled quite far away from your land, it's fascinating how you're just continually connected back in with that. I think many of us have the connection, and maybe we all do, connection with our birthplace, with where we were raised as children, but yours is just so much more strong. It's so much stronger than most. And it's because of your lineage, of having this connection to it your whole entire life
Yeah.
is really a gift.
I think if we are choosing to listen on a more subtle level, so not just with our 5 senses, or even proprioception, if we want to bring that in, 7 senses, we find the bridge. We find the links with the places. We find the relation that is being called. We find the element and the alliances in the natural world that claims us. I think it's about listening from stillness, because our mind is just a distraction. So if we I've just actually recorded a little meditations working from the roots, because I'm in love with the roots of the platan trees as well, and they are magnificent. But I think if we learned to sit by a tree or in the middle of its roots and sink in the soil energetically and visit the roots, we would find these alliances. We will hear them. We will sense them.
Yes. And it is an act of our imagination. Our imagination must be open in order for us to kind of get into that space, into that realm of hearing.
Yeah. We don't hear many sounds. There are so many more until we haven't discovered them scientifically, so they don't exist.
Right.
We already know that.
Right. It's like that narrow bandwidth of color and the rainbow that we can view, and everything else on the electromagnetic spectrum, we cannot visibly see.
Yeah. And our ancestors used to farm with all of this language of nature. We were healed by nature. Nature is where we come from, and so we already know it. We just have to allow ourselves to remember it. And that is where the nudge of imagination is a bit of a kick in the butt to say, it was already here. Let's go back to that knowledge. But it's like disparate. It's not like going back. Some people say, oh, we can't go back now, we've learned so much. It's not about going back. It's about having a different step on that spiral. Because if you look at a spiral from the top, it's always the same circle. But if you look at it from the side, it's always a different ring. So we're coming back, we're closing the circle back to the knowledge we used to hold, but reach of other knowledge we've already gathered. We're not going back to something. We re-embodying a knowledge that is part of ourselves. Yeah. And nature has so much to teach us. Oh my God, even that slowing down, the rhythm. I was really surprised that I had to remember breathing when I was in the tree.
That is really fascinating. So I wanted to get back to that experience. So thank you for bringing us back there, because it's fascinating. And I know people watching this are going to be like, well, what was that? What was that like? What was that about? So your experience was basically slowing yourself down so that you could come into resonance with the tree.
So I came in resonance with the tree before any thought came in my mind. And I was the bark. I was the trunk. I was the wood. I was everything. I was the tree. Like, there was this very funny thing at one point. Suddenly I felt that the tree didn't know what it was to walk.
I'm sorry?
And so it didn't know what it was to walk on legs. Obviously, the tree doesn't walk. And it asked me what it was. Can you make me feel what it is to walk? And so I went, and so we had this double exchange of me making him feel what it is to run in a field, the joy of running in a field free, and here and the stillness and the powerful of the cylinder of the trunk, that anchoring was his exchange. And so I was, and the time it takes for a tree to grow is the time I had to go in for him to and her to make me feel what it is to be it. So I had to, I was just tuned in the tree immediately because of the resonance I already have, and thanks to grandmother. And it was the feeling of being it. And I know it sounds crazy, but it really is as simple as that. Sometimes it's always more simple than we always think it needs to be. And in that space, the tree was showing me its life and what had happened. And it's holding a very strong secret inside its core and above the water and its relationship with water. And so there was all of that too. But the sensation of time had completely dissolved from the human time. Because it's 350 years old. Yeah. And so he's 5 times my age. So it's, there is a definition of time that is completely different. It has seen many generations. It has seen many kids that grown. It has taken the time, and the layers of the bark, the layers of the trunk, all of that. Like sometimes in pounds you have these rings which shows the time, the number of years you count, the number of rings. It was that really feeling of being the wood, and that slow growth of the. It was really all like that. But it was very simple in a way. But, it was the most surprising, listening to its story and the desire for him to know what it was to walk. That was really joyful and glorious. But yeah, you can. I mean, that's what we're going to learn at the retreat. Really, it's, how you can connect at that level and actually take a tree for a walk.
Oh, wow. That is just amazing. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that the tree kept you longer, didn't want to let you go, it just shows the, for some trees, and of course,
Yeah.
at certain times when they're open to it, they
Yeah.
really want to communicate with us. They want us to acknowledge that they're sentient, they're conscious, they are watching, and they've always been there.
Yes, I think they have when in connection and when showed respect and when given offerings, and they are very, very generous. They're very loving. Um, a bit like a grandmother or grandfather that has seen a lot and is forever forgiving.
Mm.
And there's a lot of wisdom and quietness in their teaching that we lack a lot in our world, for sure. Um, yeah, yeah, there's a lot to get from them.
I think a lot of us know this on some level. A lot of people do know that trees are loving and protective and support and are looking for connection with us. It's just a matter of how do I do that? So I really appreciate you sharing that story because I think people are really craving. They're craving this level of kinship.
I think that because we already know it, we don't go and trust that. Sometimes it's the questions like, okay, if I was a kid of 5 years old again, what would I do?
Mhm.
And I think this is the shortest shortcut. It's the shortcut for you to know what to do if you're questioning what is the way that I'm supposed to be doing that. There is no bloody way. There is your way and nothing else. The always easy, bring a flower, bring water, sit by its side, touch the root, say it, anything that no one is listening to, that you want to be heard, the tree will listen. Um, and but really, the going back to what would I do if I was 4 years old right now? This is always right because you
Mhm.
are closer to the memory at 4 than you are at 15 because the life hasn't yet happened and you're closer to your soul, to your essence.
Yeah.
And the innocence is hopefully more intact and alive.
Yeah. And you're not second guessing anything. You're just
Yeah.
being playful, perhaps, lighthearted, um, loving.
And also there's something that we expect result. There's this assuming and expectations that kills us because if you go and sit by a trunk and you've got a monkey mind that keeps running out and you're not able to switch, and then you might say, well, this didn't bloody work. And there is the non-expectation is very important too. Because again, it's a time difference.
Yes.
The delivery of time, the delivery for the tree is not on the same scale time than yours. It is about allowing time to expand in the space you have created. Almost like, when you create a music or film and you want to have a slow-mo, you create the slow-mo, you pause it and you change the timeline, the time you go there. And the expectation, if there is, one, uh, I don't know, like I love touching the roots of my tree. And it's got very sensuous roots. And I put my hand and I just wonder what are the cells of my skin that are in touch with the root feeling right now. And just going there and just staying there. And if the monkey mind goes, just coming back to the part of the cell of your skin that are touching and going as small as possible in the cellular, touching the root and staying there and coming back to it and coming back to it, coming back to it. I think it's, you know, and having no expectation.
That I think is the hardest thing, is having no expectation. Because in my experiences, yeah, every single one of them were surprising. And then you have those surprising experiences. And then you may put yourself back into a similar situation. And then you're like, okay, I had that happen. Let me see, is it going to happen again? I think it's just part of human nature, right? We hope that we can call it on demand, but that's not possible.
And it might not be the lesson you need to receive at that moment. It might not be another validation. It might be something that is somewhere else that you haven't yet looked at. And validation will just take you away from seeing or learning what you need to.
Right. Right. And I think when this happens to people,
Yeah.
they will dismiss their original experience. Like, I made that up. That didn't really happen. See, it
Sure.
didn't happen now. It didn't happen then either. There was no communication, or, yeah, it's
But that's like a test
so
of your
unfortunate.
faith, of how
Yes.
able you are to jump from the bloody cliff and trust it.
Yeah.
You don't need validation. You can't expect validation to trust something. The trust comes before the validation,
Yeah.
not after.
That's true. So true.
What is it to trust then? You're going to trust something you've been said yes 10 times. Of course, you're going to trust. It's a fact. It's not trust anymore. You have to
Yeah.
take a risk.
And be vulnerable.
Yes. And again, what are you defending? Being vulnerable means you're defending something. What are you defending? What thresholds are you holding? I think questioning everything that arises and checking whether it is true, where it is rooted, are really interesting process to shed the stories so you can reach stillness and then be in connection.
Yeah.
Because the stories are like our mind, like the monkey mind, keeping us away from something very central, which is what connects to nature.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like humanity is shifting in this way? Do you feel like we're opening up to
Of course.
this connection? Yeah.
Of course, I think, yeah, of course. I think I don't know how many generations it's going to need, because according to which world you live, of course, we are surrounded by people that are part of the shift and are eager and working for it and bringing this, it's like this is an hour curve, we are really in the beginning, in that first. We don't need to be proven. We're already there. We want to prove it. And if you go into other worlds, I have part of my family, they think the world is getting worse. Only they don't see the light showing up. So it might take some more time. And how much more disaster we're going to need to create to learn it is only up to us. And it's part of our life. If half of the planet needs to go, it's going to have, who are we anyway? But yes, of course, it is shifting. And I think very interesting things in telepath tape with the kids that are actually coming to this planet with a very different layer of connection. It's like the other, there's another name for this child also, I forget now. Other kids that actually very young are actually already healing and doing incredible things.
Crystal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's a new label because it was indigo, then it was crystal. And
Yes. So I think there's that. And then there is the resonance of the planet are changing. And this is scientifically observed and studied. I think the Heart Math Institute is incredible because it actually brings a cohesive, coherent, worldwide grid of activation that is being also recorded. I'm a lot in the Gene Key, so yes, of course, we are into this. And there was a very beautiful little thing about Richard Rudd about romance, but the romance which is really bringing, bringing the juice of life, seeing and witnessing the juice of life and the gift of every potential moment, and being in deep love and reveration with ourselves and everything that is existing. I think this is one of the bridge that is going to get us through the threshold. And yes, of course, we are. And duality needs, we need to find a center, for God's sake. For God's sake, both are right, but the only way to transmute is to hold the middle and integrate them both into that golden line of transmission. This is where we need to hold both the opposite together.
Yeah. And I have found in my own spiritual path, finding that middle way is always challenging, boy.
I agree. The thing in middle way, sometimes we say, it's not that, it's the middle way. I think it is both of them together that makes the middle way. It is not the rejections of right and left to create a third.
Mhm.
It is the integration of both, of being able to hold the contradiction within, that then once you hold for a long time, you find the thread that actually pulls you out of that geometry, of that pattern. And
Mhm.
that is the middle way.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. I didn't think we would get so philosophical here. This is just great, though. I love my, one of my passions is astrology. So maybe Gene Keys is it for you, but looking at the planetary alignments and our own birth charts too. I mean, there's everything that you just said is really being reflected in the skies at this time too. We're in real major shifts for humanity and evolution that we've never seen on this
Yeah.
planet. And it's being reflected in so many traditions, like the Mayan tradition and the Vedic tradition, and with newer systems like Gene Keys. It's just fascinating. The I Ching, of course, which talks about the cycles and the movement, the natural movement of nature, and how we can align to be in the flow. So really just beautiful. I would love for you to share a little bit about the retreat that you have coming up in October. And I understand Grandma Moonwalker is going to your beautiful sanctuary in Provence. So can you share a little?
Yes, she so my breast teacher, David Elliott in New Mexico, is the pipe holder of a tribe, a group, and introduced me to her after I did my healers training 3 years ago. And I spent 2 weeks with her, and I had a retrieval based on the memory in the land in Saint-Rémy, and I had to do a life retrieval. I wanted to know what had happened, and so I spent 2 weeks with her. And we realized that we knew each other already. And we kept working together because life had brought us back together, and it was something to do. And then I asked her 2 years later, do you want to come to Provence? And she said, yes. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And when she arrived, so she had stuff on her own to do in France, retrieval on her own, that happened. And that were magnificent. But when she arrived, she discovered that actually the place was claiming for the portal to be reopened. And I have been there several times as a guardian and lost the place. And so we have
In past lives?
yes. So we worked on that and clear that to bring it back to us to a point so that this place could now start again and vibrate again the energy that has been asked to be expanded from the portal. So we are going to create the place itself is a very special place. Van Gogh was there. There's a very special light. There is there. She actually thinks that Van Gogh was taken in one of the vortex in his mind because there's a lot of vortexes around.
Oh, wow. Of course, in the Starry Night.
Yes, exactly. So we went into the hospice where he was there, into his room. I mean, it's very strong. The region is very strong. And so we're going to have walk in nature where we're going to give offerings and understand how we connect. So we're going to work on the alliances, so find our alliances of the seven kingdoms. And we're going to work on the rainbow wisdom to understand how we can gather the vital source of energy and share it out, but also protect ourselves and really negotiate the flow of energy coming in and out with the natural world. And the alliances is really a way to bring a support team constantly on call where you can go and exchange and give offering and then feel back belonging to Mother Earth, to Ome. And we're going to have we have a homing chef that used to have actually a restaurant in Brooklyn, who's a woman from Saint-Rémy who I discovered and who's extraordinary. And we have a beautiful cacao ceremony planned and walks in the LP. And there'll be private also sessions with grandmother if needed. And yeah, she's a special cookie. She's an incredible woman. So yeah, it's going to be very special. And autumn in Provence is gorgeous. Autumn in Provence is filled up from the summer. It's like the gold is pouring out. It's just like, it's so rich, and at the same time, it owns the cycle of time with the leaves starting to turn yellow. It's a very sovereign period in the year in Provence.
Well, that does sound like an enchanted retreat for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Agathe, you have information that people can check out. Would that be on your website?
Yes, it's on the website.
Okay.
And it's also on my Facebook and Instagram. And yes, and you can
So
easily contact me.
I'll have those links below in the show notes for anybody who's interested in learning more about Agathe and her beautiful retreats, and this one specifically. Are there any last words you'd like to share?
Oh, wow. Last words. Go and walk barefoot. Go and walk barefoot and feel the grit of the soil under your feet.
Oh, I love that. The grit of the soil beneath your feet.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful words. Well, thank you so much for being on here today with me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's just such a pleasure to get to know you better and what you're bringing to this world in these really evolving times. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and following the thread of the discussion.
Okay. Great. It was a pleasure. So I thank you all for watching and listening to this beautiful session. And if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share, and comment, because we will respond to your comments below. Alrighty, everybody. Have an enchanted day. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the Enchanted Earth podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when we publish another inspiring episode. Check out my book, The Enchanted Earth, available wherever online books are sold. Thank you and have a magical day.